Knives, machetes, saws, and shears, multi-tools, shovels, swords, axes, spears, hatchets, and tomahawks. If it cuts, snips, slices, or chops, Midway USA has it. Find great gift ideas in our huge selection of pocket knives and other everyday carry folding knives. Make a statement or create a family legacy with one of our top-of-the-line hunting knives. We've got a great selection of manual and electric sharpeners, too. For just about everything for the outdoors, check out MidwayUSA.com.
The Outdoor Drive Podcast. Oh, man. Well, guys, welcome back to the Outdoor Drive Podcast. This is your boy East Coast Trev and Madman Mardik, and we got our buddy on, Daniel Groce. Is that how you say that? Groce? Is that?
That's it, dude. Yeah, yes, sir.
That's it, man. I love it, dude. Thanks for joining with us. You know, you had me on your podcast, The Part-Time Hunter, and now you're over here on the Outdoor Drive. We're going to do a little, we're doing live. We're live streaming and just going to have some fun talking turkey hunting. We're getting close to the seasons, and so
I love it, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, brother. Well,
now we're not done yet.
Yeah.
In about a half an hour.
He's gonna rethink that there in a second.
Nah, we can handle it.
Well, we'll kick this thing right into four-wheel drive, man. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, guys. So if you guys haven't already, we've got a YouTube channel, Mojo Buck Productions. Been doing that for several years. Instagram, Mojo Buck 80. And then as of last year, we just did the 1-year anniversary show for the Part-Time Hunter podcast. So really just a show for everybody out there that's not in the industry and does it for a living like most of us. So the part-time hunter, you know, has families, obligations, stuff going on. So we get in the woods as much as we can. And the thing I really like about our show is we don't have any sponsors. There's no BS. It's just a pure meat and potatoes podcast. So I think a lot of guys relate to it. And we can talk about whatever you want. So this will be episode 54 on our end. And yeah, so you said we're out of North Georgia, Dalton. A lot of guys know, Chattanooga, Nashville. We're just south of there in the corner of Georgia. And about to kick off turkey season for us is this Saturday. So we are freaking sitting on G waiting on O. I've actually got a long beard under the feeder right now that we've been looking at. So we're staring at him pretty hard. And yeah, dude, we're just ready to dive in the woods and get it going.
Is Georgia a bait state that you can bait the turkeys down there, or is that a
that is a big no. You cannot bait turkeys, but you can bait whitetail, which we don't. But
right.
So my biggest tactic this time of year or the months leading up to it is getting inventory, especially on private land, because the way they chop our season up is the first 2 weeks for public land guys is completely closed. So you got to do your homework. You got to knock on doors. You got to go get permissions. Or if you're lucky enough to have a small piece like we do, we try to go after here. But me and my dad have a big rule of, taking inventory of birds, how many jakes, stuff you have the luxury of doing on private land. So we try to get a good inventory. We don't try to tag out by no means. Just try to have a good hunt, me and him. It's a tradition. Me and him go every opening day. Last year it was him behind the gun, me filming. You guys can go watch the video. And this year it's me behind the gun. So he'll have to figure out how to work the camera. I'm going to give him a crash course tomorrow. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the old man can work the old cannon. But we'll see, man.
2 birds now, right? Down from
yeah,
3?
yeah. We got knocked down to 2 birds. You can't double in the same day, which is, it wasn't really a big deal to me. But for the long run, it's going to be good. Honestly, the way the DNR was talking is they're going to knock us down to a 1 buck state this year. So that'll be something new. And I think they're in the talks of knocking us down to a 1 bird state. So we'll see.
They go a week off the front end of your season or more, right? You're opening up later than you used to. This is what, the second year?
This is the 3rd year going into post-COVID regulations. Ever since I was in middle school, it's been the 3rd Saturday in March ever since we ever started, me and my dad. So it's this year it actually got bumped up a little bit. I don't know why it fell, but this is the first time we've been able to go in the month of March in 3 years. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And have you been seeing a decline in population on your end too, or?
Just my sample size of Georgia is the little private piece that I go on. On the public land, I definitely think the pressure has increased. So I have a few guys that still find success on the piece of publics that are around here, like this area, North Georgia. But for the most part, the public land here is still recovering from, the COVID times where guys were just going through the week for 4 weeks in a row. Everybody and their brother had days off. So, yeah, I think it's still recovering. But the private land, for the most part, it's been pretty healthy. We've been doing a lot of trapping, which that's just a small piece of the puzzle. But trapping's helped. Having, some kind of a food source, other than artificial, having actual food plots, transition lines, places that they like to hang out, making the habitat just as livable as possible.
I thought you were going to come up with some rhymes, some habitatable or something.
Yeah, so some ultra habitatable turkey land.
There we go. See, we made it up. We're making words as we go. I love it. Danny.
Or like George W. Bush Jr., we're just making stuff up. As we go.
That's most politicians, but we'll just leave that alone to where that is, right? So, one of the things that, we got some friends from down south and stuff, and one of the things that they talk about a ton is like, how particular these turkeys actually are down south because they get hunted so heavily. Like overcalling them is definitely a big thing, and a lot of that. I mean, what can you add to that?
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, just turkey hunting in general, it seems like in the Southeast, it's just taken maybe not taken more seriously, but guys look so much more forward to it, I think. And I don't know if it's because of populations or generations of people have grown up. It's just what you do down here this time of year. And, for sure, I mean, your public land, Eastern turkey, especially the first 2 weeks of season, goes through a lot of changes. I mean, you got a lot more vehicle traffic, foot traffic. Extra hens that weren't there the rest of the year, i.e. you guys out there with box calls. And, yeah, for sure. I mean, you're going to have the guys that go in 200 yards from the parking area and grab their box call like it's a boat paddle and freaking whittle that thing away, dude. And I think birds definitely catch on to that. I had an argument with a dude in a turkey forum on a Facebook group. He was just like, turkeys have the pea-sized brain. They're not smart enough to be, quote unquote call shy or hunting pressure. I don't know, man. I mean, their brains might be small, but as far as them adapting to pressure and, the stuff that's not natural for the rest of the year, I mean, I think that's just survival,
right.
And they have to survive. So, yeah, but for sure, I mean, I've encountered call shy birds and birds that just come in completely silent. I mean, like you see, throw it back to the hunting public this time of year, they're pumping out content, but you see a lot of the times where they kill birds just off of hearing drumming. I mean, you can hear drumming within 100 yards in certain conditions. So, I mean, woodsmanship comes into play, listening for drumming, even just walking in the leaves. At this time of year, our woods are reminiscent of deer season, super crunchy, dry, a little bit of foliage, not as much as I thought. We kind of had a cold spell come through. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it for sure.
And, you brought up a real good point, too. Like, a lot of the times is slowing it down and just raking them leaves. I mean, dude, there's sometimes them birds get close enough, you rake them leaves, them things will holler back at you. And you don't even...
Yeah.
People, one of the things here, like, down south, I mean, I feel like it's Sunday church down there when it comes to turkey hunting. Like, it is a normality. Like, everybody's a turkey hunter in the south. In the north, it's starting to progressively catch up, but not that much. Like, like NWTF, right? You go there, dude, everybody's a diehard turkey hunter. And turkey hunting in its own is a religion. Like there's a loved-on part of turkey hunting that's not like it is here. I mean, everyone likes to turkey hunt because they like to hear him gobble, but not like down south, dude. It's an art. It's a religion. It's a cult. Like, turkey hunters definitely are a little bit different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what makes a guy drive 16 hours in a Tacoma and sleep in his, the bed of his truck in a thunderstorm for one bird, one tag, one experience? It's definitely that something that gets into you really bad. I mean, when you have that really good hunt where, not necessarily calling him all the way down the choke tube, but if you have a close encounter, and that's what's cool about turkey hunting is you don't have to have a bird at the end of the hunt to feel like you've done something and to feel accomplished and get something from it. I've been turkey hunting since I was 13, and I learned something all the time. I mean, you just absolutely do. You can get humbled super quickly. Sometimes you're kicking the teeth in. Most of the times you get your teeth kicked in. But it just, I think that's the fun of it. There's no guarantees. It's hunting in its purest form, for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, the man himself, Aaron Satterfield.
we talk about how just quirky turkeys are, right? They're weird, right? They're just quirky, weird, and then you think about it, and it's like a diehard turkey hunter is just as quirky and weird as in weird. Like it's a different breed.
Dude, yeah. I mean, if you watch the competition callings, the live stuff in Nashville, you see those dudes up there that are, walking funny and, two-stepping and calling with their hand like this. They really get into it. That's just, dude, I actually know people that turkey hunt like that. They will stand there and use their mouth to turn. Now, I don't do that, but I mean, I'm not knocking anybody that does. But I think that's the biggest takeaway for, especially I talk about it on our show all the time, is I try to hammer home like, dude, turkey hunting, it's serious, it's fun. You try to do everything for the turkey you can, other than turkey season. You try to do all this stuff, burning, trapping, all these programs. And I think turkey hunters, you gotta laugh at yourself sometimes, guys. Like all this, you got to hoist him up high and baptize him in cheap cigar smoke and tell him thank you 20 times. And you got to film it. And you got to make sure you post that. That all that stuff, the reverence and stuff. You can be respectful to a turkey, but I think some guys take it to an extreme. And I think there's a lot of internal group bashing when it comes to turkey hunters. And I think if we as a whole, I mean, you think the turkey hunting community is huge. It's super small.
Mm-hmm.
It's super, super small. And I think if we, stop gatekeeping stuff, take more kids hunting, maybe, I think it becomes a measuring contest sometimes. So I think that's where we get lost in the sauce, so you got to take it with a grain of salt sometimes.
So I got a question for you. If your neighbor goes on and shoots your biggest tom, do you get mad at him for it?
No, man, not really. I mean, it would suck, yeah. I mean, because if you're on private land and that's all you got, and maybe you only have 2 good birds on your piece, then that sucks, But I mean, it's definitely not the same as, hey, I shot your 185. He came on, he hopped my fence, and I shot him. I don't think it's the same.
Oh yes, it is. Oh yes, it is.
I would tell that guy, I would say, you can hunt turkeys in all 49. There's all kind of turkeys you could go hunt,
right.
Whether it's next door in Tennessee, below you in Florida, you can go to freaking California and kill one. So it's not, I think, comparing it to whitetails, I wouldn't get mad. Now, I wouldn't say now my dad would probably get mad because then he couldn't shoot one.
Right.
But, it just, I don't know. I think it's up to the person. It's all about perspective.
Do you name your deer?
Yeah, I named my deer, yeah.
You ever named a turkey?
I've named one jackass an asshole one time, but no, I actually take that back. We had a bird back here behind the house that we named Hank, and he would just be super call shy. If you ever called to him and he had hens, he would be just completely the opposite way. I just think that was a routine he got into. That was Hank. I'm pretty sure he died of old age. He's probably dust and feathers now. But yeah, I mean that's the only turkey I named physically. So
I had one missing right dead center of his fan. He was missing one feather.
Yeah,
so I named him Old One Feather, and it took me a couple mornings to get him killed. But he was an old bastard.
That's crazy, dude.
I want to take it back a little bit. You were talking about hanging him up high and smoking a cigar with him, and that's something that. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's, I don't know, man. I was bashing on, I call him a friend. He's probably not a friend anymore because I bashed on him, but it was like a new trend that I saw where I don't know if it was because he was in South Florida and maybe he did walk through a swamp, but dude, like he had this beautiful long beard hanging up. I mean, gorgeous. I mean, big palmetto thicket, swamp edge coming up, sunset was coming behind the turkey. And he had to like post up his nasty grown ass feet. Bare ass feet.
Oh, I saw
right
this.
I was like, I think that maybe not just applies to turkey hunting, but as a hunting community as a whole, if we can't point a finger and laugh at ourselves for stupid shit like that, and be like, hey man, let's not turn this into a thing. This was kind of weird. I don't want to see your feet next to a turkey, but maybe make some money if you're going to do that. Other grown men maybe don't want to see it. But yeah, I mean, I and that goes back to the yeah, put it on OnlyFeet and get a subscription going. I sent him a DM later because I think he got kind of butthurt about it. He's like, man, I just hiked all day through a swamp and I was trying to air my feet out. I'm like, dude, that's great. Like, I'm not dissing you killing an Osceola. That's a huge accomplishment. I'm super jealous, actually. I need to kill an Osceola for a slam, and that's great. But at the same time, just take it with a grain of salt. Don't be so serious. Like, we can joke around. It's all in good fun.
I'm huge on, sitting down, sitting back, relaxing, smoking a cigar because, just that relaxation, telling that story over, it's one of those things that just like, I'm sorry, Aaron Satterfield came in from Sadie's Fatties and he said fetishes pay well. So he just
dude, yeah. So shout out. We won't name drop you, but shout out old buddy with the feet in Florida. I could smell you through my phone, dude.
But I think taking that moment, sitting back, telling the story, I think one of the things, a lot of us as, social media guys or whatever, we're just so fast to post up pictures. We're so fast to put up videos, to tell the world what happened, and I think there's a lot of us just aren't taking that appreciation for what the animal's worth, man, and to sit back and just kind of take it all in, like you being with your pops on opening day, man, like suck all that in because there's probably going to be one opening day, hopefully a long time from now, that you won't be able to do that, so it's kind of got to cherish those moments while they're in the forefront, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, and I was talking to the guy the other week whenever that I posted that on my story, all in good fun. But I mean, at the same time, I was like, how about we start a tradition of like, if you're religious, maybe take a little small testament with you and read a verse, or maybe if you journal, write it down in a journal and recount everything while it's fresh in your mind. But having to physically show other people, thousands of people on social media that, hey, I journaled about this turkey. You probably should too, because it's really cool. That's kind of a really stupid reason, I think. And I don't know if I'm the guy on social media that has to call people out and say, hey, this is stupid, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then, so be it. I posted a question last year, whereas, if all this didn't exist, if podcasts weren't around, Instagram Lives, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, if all this didn't exist, would you get up and go chase this turkey as hard as you did today? And that's it's a really deep question. And a lot of guys, they may not admit it, but, half the reason, I'd say more than half, maybe 65% of why they're doing it is to have content, is to have Instagram reels and shorts and show their buddies. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know if that's why I get up at 4:30 in the morning and go stand up under an oak tree and listen to barred owls and get mosquito bit and ticks up my nuts and all that stuff. I think it's a different reason. So make sure you're doing it for the right reason, guys.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it's funny is a lot of us, grew up around it, probably like yourself, Daniel, and every day of your life when you were growing up, you look for Saturday mornings for your dad to take you out hunting, like there wasn't a social media. You weren't chasing that. And what's funny is we do during the heart of the seasons, we do a mini series called Tales from the Tailgate. And it's something that Steve came up with, and I think it's super important because one of those things is like, I don't know how they do it down in the South. Up here in New England, they used to do it where, everybody would go to the local gun shop and you used to have to check in all the deer, and we would all go in there on opening day and we'd tell stories, take pictures, show all this stuff, and that stuff has been lost. How many times those old timers, and I bet you in the South this happens so much more than up here, but them old timers will tell you a story. You see him at the gas station, you both wearing camouflage. He says, oh, I was hunting today, and you tell him he's good, and you get into a conversation 30 minutes later, he's pulling Polaroids out of the visor, and he's showing you a picture of the biggest buck he ever shot. I mean, that is what it's all about, dude. That is what we do this for, man. We don't do it to share it on Facebook, dude. You're not getting likes on a Polaroid picture, in my opinion, so...
Yeah, I really wish it would get back to that purest form of it. I mean, because that stuff gets in your soul, man. I mean, my first phone call back in the day, whether it was a deer or I shot a doe when I was little or I shot a Jake when I was 12, whatever, I was calling my granddad. And as long as he was cool and we talked about it and reminisced or whatever, and I didn't have pictures back then. I had like a singular wireless flip phone Motorola, no camera. You had to text via number and all that. And text cost like $5 a text back then. So, you just roll up to granddad's house, drop the tailgate, check out this Jake. And then we sat on the tailgate and we didn't even drink beer. I mean, I was 13 and he didn't drink. So we're just chilling and talking and, learning lessons and how'd you kill him? What'd you do? Did you have to move on him? Was he gobbling? What was he strutting? Was there hens? You learn all that stuff on the tailgate, and yeah, man, it just gets lost. Man, it almost makes me want to delete all my stuff, and then I don't know. I like having it because I like having an opinion, and maybe somebody will hear it and be like, you know what, maybe take it in a little bit more. I don't have to post everything. Just enjoy it.
And I think that, one of the things that we're starting to see kind of on our end is that social media is starting to like liquidate us. Like they're starting to
yeah.
where we're not being seen, those things that, and we didn't do it for that. We just did it for the growth of the podcast, right? And the podcast only.
Yeah.
Like we don't care. I mean, like honestly, if they shut down Instagram and they shut down Facebook tomorrow, like we're still going to podcast, right? But we want to show the growth and kind of get people to listen to the podcast. But we're seeing it where a lot of our stuff isn't getting that same reach that it was before. And I'm okay with it. Like it's we're still going to podcast. If there's no Facebook, there's no Instagram, we're still going to podcast because there's still people that are going to come and listen to it. But it just sucks because we want to be able to share these experiences and tell these stories. These are all things that, and one of the reasons I like to podcast is to have different people on here. And 20 years down the road, when Daniel's shooting, he's got the biggest TV show that there is, him and his pops, like we want to just reminisce on the old days, or tell stories of some of those legends that, we get to have on. Like, this is all missed stuff, and I think it gets all mistreated with social media. Like you lose who, anybody can be a superstar on social media. Everybody can be a big name on social media, and like you start to play back to some of those things, and I think that they miss out on what this really was about. There's so many people, NWTF, at ATA, SHOT Show, there's all these little girls running around in skimpy ass dresses, and they don't realize why most of these people are doing this. Like this is in our heritage. This is in our blood. Like we live, breathe, and dream this because this is what we've done since we were young lads. I mean, like I don't, it's I don't mean to go on a rant, Daniel, and take over on this.
Go down the rabbit hole. Do it.
This is one thing, and I talk about this a couple of different times. So one of the things that, and I'm 100% victim to this, man. I'll tell you right now, dude. Like I kind of got lost in the social media world where I was born and raised on this and hunting and fishing every single day. As a young kid, and you start to get, I will call it fame, right? Just easy, right? Because everybody, seeing your social media and stuff, and my stuff, I kind of got caught up in that. And I kind of missed out on hunting with my mom, with my dad, with my brother, you know what I'm saying? Like, or going fishing with them and this, that, and the other thing. And I'll tell you this is the past couple of years have really, really been an eye-opener for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't hunted with my dad on opening day of turkey season in almost 20 years, okay?
Oh, you got to fix that.
So I'll tell you this is I called my dad the other day, and I invited him out for opening day. So we're going to film with him on opening day. I mean,
oh, that's sick.
21 years ago, my dad invited me to go to Maine to learn how to turkey hunt. We picked up a guide. And last year I went back to Maine. Me and Steve went back to Maine, and I shot a bird 20 years later from when I had first shot my first bird 20 years ago. And now this year I'm going to start opening day with my pops. And it's just, you get lost and you get in that narrow-minded tunnel because you think, and I'm victim to it, where you just like, I got to get film. I got to hunt hard. I want to shoot a 180, like you get lost in that. And like, you can't, man. You got to bring it back to the ground, and you have to do it for all the right reasons. And it's sad, dude. It's sad to see, and I hope that other people can do that, because when you lose sight of what it's really all about, man, there's no need in doing this, in my opinion.
Dude, 100%. That's one of the things that nauseated me at NWTF. And, everybody has their own opinions, but it's just like if I had a big ass and tits and I was walking around the Mossy Oak booth, I could get any sponsor I wanted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just how it works today, and it's sad. And I'm not bashing any female out there, but I think there's a niche for, I want to see a YouTube channel where a female can, like, just take turkey season, for instance. I want to see her camping outside on public land, not having any sponsors, doing it in a cheap, shitty, burned out Honda with an old Mossberg shotgun, lead shot, old Primos turkey vest from 2003. I want to see her go pound it on public land, go find her own birds, do her own scouting, do her own editing on the fly, and do it hunting public style with no professional help. I would give that person a lot of credit. You see all these. I'm not going to name drop on the show, but like
Right.
all these big famous females, dude, they're going down to these gigantic, private, huge pine plantations in Florida. Oh, I got my Osceola. I did my 5th single season slam. That's great. Can you go find one on Florida public land? Could you do it there? Could you call your own bird in? I want to see footage of a female running a diaphragm on the stage competing. Let's see it. Like if you're a turkey hunter, let's freaking see some real stuff. Now I'm not saying they didn't shoot the turkey, but it was a big, like it was an alley oop, man. That thing was on a T-ball for them.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. That's just what I think. And same thing with whitetail too. Does that girl go knock on doors and get permission? Does she tune her own bow? Does she shoot competition in the off season? Does she rattle rattling horns that she killed? And not wear a Sitka. It's just like I want to see the real side of it. So I don't know.
I
That's just
agree
my
with
2
you,
cents.
man. It's funny. It's funny that you bring this all up, man. And I'll tune right into this because and Steve can contest with this. So we had a local show here this past weekend. And we have some friends of ours that, reached out in the past couple of weeks and been really good friends. We went and sat and had dinner and wings with them. Well, it's a husband-wife team. Both of them great people. They actually entered a video into the Badlands Film Festival at ATA.
Oh, that's sick.
So they ended up getting in there. They're in. It got played at ATA. Whatever. They're big into the filming aspect of it, and we got to chat. And this past weekend, and kind of like asking them what their motive was and what they wanted to do. And I think they got the right thing going. Where he wants to film, and she wants to go in and dive in and ask the professionals how they do this, how they do that, learn through the scope. Right from the beginning. I mean, going into the bow shop, getting her bow, talking to the professionals, talking her all through it, DIY. I mean, like, she's,
that's cool.
And there's a couple of badass women out there, man. Like, there's a pile of them that have not been seen yet that, that I know of personally. Believe in one of them. I mean, Caitlin Moss, I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a self-made girl. She's public land, hunting big deer, doing big things.
Is that the girl that dates Chris B or did date Chris B?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I like her turkey films, but they don't get the eyeballs that all the other girls get.
Right.
And it's just like, gosh, man, it's so stupid how that works.
But I think that there's a couple of them up and coming, and I think that they're putting the right eye out there for the right women that are trying to get into the industry. But there's a lot of them where there's 25% of them are the right. There's still that 75% that aren't right, and they're putting in the bad names. And the worst people that get this, Daniel, honestly, is the waterfowlers. The waterfowlers
Dude,
have the worst.
Don't get me started on freaking girls and waders in a flooded timber hole in a $60,000 duck boat blowing a $400 custom. Well, okay, let's just say I've never seen them blow it, but they got a $400 custom cut down from XYZ company, and yeah, it looks sick on pictures when they're standing next to a finished $10,000 lab, right?
Right.
And it sells a lot of camo and gear and boats and all this stuff, but it's just not real. It's not real.
No, and it's funny is, we talk about this where, all that not that long ago, this was not a woman-friendly industry. And then it blew up to what it is today, and I think that they're putting out the wrong image, man. Like, it's step in line. I mean, like, be a Hannah Barron. I mean, that bitch is one of the craziest women I've ever met in my life, and I could personally say that I've stand next to her and had a conversation. Like,
damn.
I'm telling you right now, that girl will eat more Amish Hot Pockets than any man I've ever met in my life. Like, dude, she's a beast. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, she is. I mean, dude. She does it right, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's out there doing it herself. She's out there, doing the right things. She's putting the right eye out there. Yeah. Sex appeal. Yeah, sex sells. I get it. But, like, she's doing the right things. She's out there doing it, dragging deer. She's out there getting her arm dirty down there, gigging for catfish. Whatever, dude. So, like,
just got her freaking arm just shoved in that big old river cat. I could get behind it, dude. It's just like, it seems like every show that you go to. And like NWTF is the show in the beginning of the year in the Southeast. And it's got waterfowl, it's got whitetail guys. It's really expanded to just, more than, not just turkey hunting, but it's just like, dude, what are you going to see at the big time booths? You're going to see 3 or 4 media guys. You're going to see the old, burned wood display with the tin fascia, neon signs. You're going to have a bad bitch or two and 3 or 4 turtle boxes screaming Morgan Wallen. And that's your typical setups. I mean, am I wrong? I mean,
no, square toe boots, flannel shirts.
Yeah, and like the biggest thing at NWTF this year, which was so funny. Growing up, I wish I had closets full of this stuff. I wish I kept it. I know Dad did too, but like 1999 mossy oak jackets, they're selling for $300, $400. And it's just like, damn, dude. I mean, yeah, it's cool.
You saw that booth that they were selling all that vintage stuff?
Son? Dude, the vintage is in right now. I'm telling you, if anybody out there hears the show right now and you have a warehouse or a closet or some kind of tote in your attic full of your granddad's old Realtree, I'm talking old school, early 2000s Realtree or mossy oak, and it could be even that shitty wall jacket stuff from Kmart back in the day. Dude, get that shit out and put it on eBay. It will make you a lot of money right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, you saw that booth that was there with all the antique old camouflage, dude. They were rifling through it. Turkey vest, there was pants, everything. If it's in bottomland, mossy oak.
I literally told
half the kids wearing it weren't even born when that shit came out either. Dude, like, I've been wearing this. Yeah, since you were born in '96, bro. Like,
dude, yeah, it's now. I was born in '92, so I'm in there a little bit. But
I was born in '90, Daniel. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I even told my wife, I said, hey, Candace, now shout out to Mojo Doe, as I call her. She was walking around NWTF, full blown pregnant. I wish I'd bought her earplugs because she was so sick of hearing turkey calls when we walked out of that thing. But yeah, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go try to find me like an old school green leaf, long sleeve shirt. It'd be cool to have. $95 plus tax, and I was like, no. That can stay right there on the hanger. And the neck was stretched out. The sleeves were ripped. And I was like, damn, dude.
Are you serious?
Does this come with a dead turkey too? Or what is the deal with this thing? I'm like, what the hell? It's wild, man. And people were just, and somebody grabbed it. When I put it back, some dude grabbed it and bought it. Like it wasn't there anymore. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's wild.
Insane. That doesn't wow. Well, somebody's got some closet full of something that, it might be worth $1 million.
Dude, he was like, one box of TSS or this shirt.
Yes.
Which one? Oh, we can totally talk about TSS and decoys and all that too. I think and that stuff is so, people say it's controversial, but man, honestly, I don't know.
There's no controversy there. You want to stop the flop or you want to keep watching flop? I mean, it's up to you.
Dude, it's so wild. Every pattern video we do on the channel, and I did one just recently, lead versus TSS, just because I could show guys. I did a cheap, and it was actually from these guys called Pattern Pros. They do it. They do all the work for you.
We have them coming on here in a week or so talking about
it. Brody and Ryan are good dudes, and they got a really good idea going. But you could do this too. Like just pattern anything. Like a lead load has been killing them ever since turkeys were repopulated in the U.S. in the early 90s, and 12 gauge was king back then. I think in a 12 gauge, my opinion, I think 12 gauge TSS is like putting a nuclear bomb inside of a house to level the house. It's just not needed. Lead loads in a 12 gauge, totally fine. Now in a sub gauge, 410 has to have TSS to be effective. 28 gauge, definitely. 20 gauge, yes. Because you put yourself on the same playing field and ranges as a full-size 12 gauge. In my opinion, I will never hunt. Now, besides the pawn shop gun that I got to put a recoil pad on.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick, dude. Hold on, before you get too far. I want to talk about the pawn shop gun because this is something very cool that people need to hear about. Have you heard about this yet, Steve?
No, well, I'll tell you something off air.
Okay. Yeah, anyways,
with Amish hot pockets and stuff, but we'll get back to that.
Go ahead. Go on.
So I try to do a turkey gun series build every year. I try to start it, around NWTF and try to get something going through the opening day just to show guys that you can do. I mean, we built the world's smallest turkey gun last year. I built my old Stevens 301 that everybody has now, but I built one 3.5 years ago. You can still buy them for $150 brand new back then. Just to show guys, like, you don't have to go build a custom Benelli M2 ultralight, spend $2,500, then spend more money and customize it, dip it, optic mounts, choke tubes, TSS on top of all that shit. So I was just like, hey, man, we're going to go to the pawn shop and I'm going to buy the most beat up closet rust piece of shit I could possibly find. And I'm going to turn it into a freaking Ferrari on the cheap, kind of, I say cheap in quotes because we did kind of deck it out. But I went to the pawn shop and it was actually an old police trade-in. Police trade-ins are great because they usually have low round counts. They may have some surface rust, but at least they're maintained and not, they're still functioning. Right. That's kind of what I was looking for. So I got lucky and I found an old, I actually didn't even know because when you buy a used gun, all you have is a serial number. So I called Mossberg. It was an old Mossberg 835 Ultimag, just a piece of freaking artillery, dude, that you strap to your shoulder. And it's an oversized barrel. So it's got a 10 gauge barrel, 12 gauge chamber. So it's kind of cool. It's when the 3.5 inch mag for waterfowl got invented. Mossberg took that, and that was the first, Ultimag gun there ever was. So I was like, damn, cool history, rusty, wood stocks. Let's turn it into something cool. So bought it for like $240, tax and all. I mean, it was a freaking steal. The recoil pad feels like concrete because it's so freaking old. The rubber is just, it's almost deteriorating. So what I did is I got with, I think it's called Freedom Stencils. I give them all the credit for the paint job because if I didn't have the Bottomland stencil kit, I was just going to rattle can it and just do it on the cheap. But it turned out really well, and the stencil kit was the sauce because, like I said, without it, it's a 3-color paint job. I hit it with matte clear coat just to dull it out, and it turned out fantastic. I sanded the shit out of it, sanded the wood stocks, rattle canned it, and then I got with Keith over at Salt Creek Ammo. He did a custom load, and I shot on paper the world's heaviest 12-gauge loading in a TSS shell. Like, you would hold one shell, and it just felt like a lead weight you would go deep sea fishing with, dude. This thing was so damn heavy. It was 2 3/4 ounces of TSS in one shell in a 3.5 inch. It was almost 3 ounces of shot.
Wow.
So, and it was an 8x10 duplex and then a straight 8s. It patterned hellaciously good, probably up to 75 yards if I had to, but did all this pattern series with it. And then I went with a EGW, just a low pro little optic mount. I threw a C&H Precision. It's a local Georgia company to us. Little red dot mount that they make for competition pistols. It has a big objective lens like a circle. So it just, when you throw it up on a turkey target, it just sinks right in there. It's perfect. So, yeah, man, I just wanted to show now you don't have to go all the way with an optic and TSS, and that's why I patterned lead loads through it. I patterned Winchester Super X turkey, the cheapest dog shit load you can buy at Academy. It's like $9 for 10. And honestly, out of the lead loads, that one patterned the best. I mean, it was great.
What do you think you had into the whole entire project?
If you don't count the optic, which I wouldn't, because optics there again, some guys crucify you for cheating with a red dot that's non-magnified. Yeah, okay. I don't know how that's cheating. Yeah, I want to optimize my pattern with my point of aim to be more efficient, but yeah, that's cheating. While you guys use e-bikes and Onyx, yeah, have that combo with me. But so anyway, if you minus the red dot and you just shoot, say you ponied up for some TSS through Keith, Salt Creek, the gun, the rattle can was free. I had all that paint here. The stencil kit was $30. The TSS was $45 plus shipping. So you're still going to be way under $500 and have one absolutely hell of a shotgun.
You painted it in the OG Bottomlands?
Yes. So
like $3,000 now.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's actually retro. So I called Mossberg and I was just curious to find out if this was one of the earliest copies of this gun. And their customer service is badass. I mean, I was on the phone for 2 minutes, read the serial number, like, yeah, that gun was made in November of 2000. Wow. So it's almost 24 years old and would still probably be in that pawn shop, but it's going to be in my hands on opening day. So it's cool.
That's super cool. I think that's and you do this project every year.
I try to. I think next year I'm finally going to be one of those, ride the wave of 410s. I'm going to try to do a 410. I've been pushing it off for so long because I personally don't think 410s have a place in the turkey woods unless you're like 3 years old or something. I just don't think they're as effective at killing a turkey as efficiently as possible and having a quicker clean kill. But I mean, people do it. I don't like to. The smallest I like to go is a 20 gauge because I feel like I'm not taking anything away from myself. I can still ethically shoot one out to 50 if I do my homework and pattern, but also I'm going to kill that turkey stone dead if I do my job. The 410 to me, I don't think you can have enough shot in that shell to be as effective. And I think it tempts guys to shoot further, and then you end up, shooting one in the body or the head, and it flies off and dies later and you don't find it. So I don't know. I'm going to do something next year. I hadn't figured it out yet.
And Georgia obviously allows the 410 because some states don't. Like we can't hunt with a 410 here. We can't hunt with anything smaller than a 20 gauge, and we can't shoot with any shot smaller than 7.5 for turkeys.
See, that's something you could probably get overturned because Jake Sleesman, he's famous for his channel for patterning shotguns. If you've ever YouTube searched patterning shotguns, he has Blue Collar Outdoors. And he's in upstate New York, and he actually was one of the key people that got them to overturn the 7 TSS 2.9s because his argument was, well, if you're letting me shoot 7 TSS, 9 TSS, I'm going to be I'm going to dispatch that bird in less. I mean, it's so much better in every way. And I think his pattern videos with all the combos he shoots, and I'm talking thousands of choke tube, shell, gun combos are on his channel. I think that's what really swayed them. And they're like, hey, you know what? It's the better mousetrap. Let's go that route. So,
and it's something that definitely, needs to be talked about because I would definitely love to hunt with a 410. Why not? I mean, I hunt with a 20 gauge, why not do something? I mean, if you're going to be effective, you're going to be effective. It's the same thing like as the guys that are, shooting, heavy arrows, why can, it's one of those things, man. So let's break it on into your season, man. What do you kind of got planned? What do you, how are you going to go into the opening day? Like what's the good word down there?
Yeah, man. So I tried to go roost one Monday. We had a weird wind advisory here for the last 3-4 days. So wind and turkeys don't really mix, especially when you're trying to get ears on, a lot more acreage if you're on a high point trying to listen out. So I've been trying to do a little roosting. Right. This piece of private, I'm kind of really, it's like 50 acres. So we know the boundaries. We know where we're at. I mean, you hear that joke where, after 3 gobbles, it's all God's country. But on this piece, it's really, we got to stay tight. I mean, we got to be within the boundary. So definitely, I've got an area that I want to go on. It's a big open hardwood flat, a creek bottom, some planted pines. So it's got some good transition areas. I think historically that's where me and Dad are going to set up just a straight set in the morning to try to film because we're trying to make a video. So right. I'm going to put a single Jake decoy out, no hens. From trail cam footage and what I've observed the last 3 months, the 3 toms that are back there are super, super territorial. There's 2 Jakes that they always beat the shit out of. So that's what I'm banking on. Hopefully that attitude still carries through. So we're going to try that. If we have to move, we can move, but hopefully it happens in the hardwood bottoms. Of course, turkeys, be turkey sometimes. But traveling plans, I'm going to go to something weird. I've done the western swings the last 3 springs, and Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, that type of thing. I want to go to Virginia. I'm going to be in Virginia for their opener towards the coast, like Newport News area. I think the closest town is New Kent or something. I looked up. I'm not familiar with that area at all, so. I'm going to go with a buddy out there, buddy hunt on his permission for private. And then if I get it done that weekend of their opener is the 13th, is a Saturday. So it opens on that day. The West Virginia opener is that following Monday. So I'm off that whole week. So I'm going to try to go to West Virginia, run around there if I have luck. Then that's what's cool about Turkey Tour is it's all dependent on if you can tag a bird. Now, obviously that's not the only goal, but when you go out of state, you go, okay, if I tag here, I've got this many days left before the hourglass runs out. So you got to plan it and bank on success. We'll see. So I'm going to try to hit Virginia, West Virginia, try to end up in the Carolinas because that's kind of on my way home, quasi down, to the south. So I'm going to try to get that East Coast swing going on and try to knock out some states. But
I heard West Virginia is absolute fire. Like I heard it's like the craziest, the mountain easterns in West Virginia are just insanity.
I can't wait. I'm going to put that theory to the test. So we'll see, man. I got my fingers crossed. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
They gobble different.
They gobble different?
Yeah, from breathing all that coal.
Yeah.
I got a little,
They get a big old cup of Mountain Dew in the morning too.
back in the rasp,
The thing about the Virginias, you got to be very careful over there, man, because I'll tell you what, man, you start getting lost up in them hills, it's a whole different ball game, dude. There'll be things that come out that never crawled.
You got two things you got to be careful of. They can rifle hunt, so don't be going down there reaping.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
You cannot hunt within 100 feet of a church on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, and something that helped me.
You want. You just cannot turkey hunt within 100 feet of a church.
Wow.
They just do that so when all the good old boys are in church on Sundays, if a turkey runs by, they at least got 100 yards to run away from. That's all it is.
Yeah, dude. And something that I'm going to have to adjust to, like our hours to hunt here during turkey season is, sunrise to sunset. And in Virginia, their first month is cut off at noon. So that's something. So as a turkey hunter there, you really got to be on your game. You got to know roost areas. You got to know, path of travel, what they like to do this time of day. Because when that alarm goes off, you're sitting there staring at one, at 12:01. What do you do? So you just kind of, I think that's good and bad. It's kind of like when you hunt certain places for waterfowl, like in Arkansas, it cuts off at noon to give the ducks rest and time to shelter and find food. And I think ultimately that's cool. I don't really, Georgia DNR, I'm not talking about, making our cut off at noon, but it is a good idea. Maybe instead of lower the bag limit, move the time crunch to noon.
Has it ever been noon for you down there?
Never, not ever.
Wow. Okay. So I mean, we had noon here, right? In the past 2 or 3 years, they turned it off, so we can hunt until sunset. But always been, we had it before, and it's, I think I'm in between here, right? So like I feel as if it's a really good thing for population, because the thing is, the guys aren't running around the woods kicking hens off a nest, and the hens then can go and feed. You're not bumping them off of they can do their breeding thing. They can keep things going. But on the same token, being greedy, them birds gobble a lot better afternoon. So,
Yeah. And also if you're not really familiar with especially if you're on public land, you may not know the birds' habits and where they're going every day unless you're scouting a whole lot. On private land, you have that privilege of getting to go out there and tromp around whenever you want any time of year. But I think early season, as just like here, probably in most places that opened up, like in Mississippi opened too, a week ago. I think hens and gobblers are a lot more, flocked up in the early season. So as you get past that 1 o'clock hour, it's always like, okay, he's hung out with them all morning. He's bred one or two, whatever. He's broke off. Now he's back hot again. He's gobbling on his own. I think that kind of maybe saves the first part of whatever season you're hunting if you have a noon cutoff, because those birds maybe don't get hot till 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
So-
and it keeps that population going.
We had Mike Chamberlain on, was it last week, Trev?
Yeah, something like that.
And
He's the man.
We asked him about that, and he made a good point, because there's no data to say. So if you kill a bird, don't get me wrong, I killed a bird last year at 1:30 in the afternoon, and it did not take long. But there's data to make the argument that I shot that bird at 1:30 in the afternoon. If there was a noon cutoff, who's to say I didn't come at 7:30 the next morning, right?
That's true.
The thing that I like having noon, 1 o'clock cutoffs, because the actual gobblers aren't getting pushed around in the afternoon. They're not getting screwed with, so they're going to go back to their normal roost. So you can have a more normal hunt the next morning, where if they're getting chased all over sun up to sundown, who knows where they end up roosting tonight. They're not going to make it back to where they want to be. And it's everything's just more sporadic and random, and it's every morning's a coin toss. Where if everyone gets out of the woods at noon, turkey's gonna do turkey things, end up back in the same, and it's almost like a reset,
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of it. Maybe if I don't know how they make their decisions. Obviously, Chamberlain, he's at the University of Georgia. Dogs on top, number one, go dogs. And, I think he has a big influence in our local DNR. I mean, our state DNR for regulations. So it's interesting that, and I'm not in there with them, so I would love to be a fly on the wall and hear how they come up with these regulations. But cutting the season so short, to me, I would rather be a one bird state and have my whole season to chase one. That way I could really pick and choose what I wanted. If I wanted to hunt early season, I go at it opening day. If I wanted to wait, it could go late. When they get on nest and they're a little bit more aggressive in the afternoon. It's just funny how they make those decisions. But a noon cutoff, a bigger bag limit, more season, or maybe the same bag limit. More season is always what I'm going to lean towards because I like being able to go from March all the way to almost June sometimes. So
the thing I like about lower bag limits, say 1 or 2 bird states, I hate to say it, less likely people to shoot jakes when they can only shoot 1 or 2 birds. They're going to wait for a long beard and shoot it.
Yes.
We're a 5-bird limit in Connecticut. 5 birds.
Holy shit.
I hate to say it, but I think guys are more likely to pull a trigger on a jake because they know they got 4 more birds they can kill,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
If you
that's exactly
pull
right.
1 bird or even 2 birds in, say it's a 3-week, 4-week season, you're probably going to shoot 2 longbeards,
Yeah, and that's just exactly. I love that example because it's just like our whitetail season. Like in Georgia,
right?
You get 2 antlered deer, and the rest of the does total up to you can kill 12 deer in a season.
Mm-hmm.
That is stupid. That is no one needs to do that. I mean, that's crazy because if you've got a father, a son, a daughter, whatever, you could have all of them have resident tags, and you could kill like 50 deer in one family legally. That's wild. Why is that a thing?
But see, I like how you guys do it, believe it or not, because no matter what season it is, we're talking deer season now.
Yeah.
You can only shoot 2 bucks a year. So if you want to shoot 2 in September with your bow, then you're done with buck. No more buck tags. If you want to shoot them both with the rifle, you shoot them both with the rifle. Back to Connecticut, we can shoot 2 bucks with our bow. We can shoot a buck with our rifle. We can shoot a buck with our shotgun. We can shoot a buck with our muzzle loader.
Wow.
Again.
We're at like 16 deer all said and done, buddy.
Like,
jeez.
Who's going to pass a spike buck or a 4-pointer when they know they got more buck tags are getting activated next week, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm a big fan of the I thought you guys are 2 bucks 9 does.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm a big give those doe tags out. Shoot as many does as you want, but for us to be able to shoot 7 bucks a year is just ridiculous.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, but I mean, like, look at the success story that is Kentucky. I mean, that's a lot of the guys that live in my area. If they're on a lease, if they're big deer guys, are like, yeah, I got a new lease in Kentucky. It's a $1 state, but I mean, they have some freaking hammers, and I like that program. I mean, I just think it works.
Yeah. No, I agree, and it goes back to what we were saying about turkey. If it's a $1 state.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna make that buck count,
right?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just gonna shoot this one, put him in the freezer. I'll hold out for a big one on the second tag.
That's how Ohio is too. Ohio's a $1. You can take it with a bow, you can take it with a rifle, you can take it with a shotgun. Ohio, Illinois, a lot of those are like that, man. You get 1 and 1. You might get 2. You get 1 bow, 1 gun. Like I'm cool with that. Like then you're being a way more selective,
right? And all the states you just mentioned are all destination whitetail deer hunting areas.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine doing that in New England?
To Connecticut to come whitetail on.
No.
Nope. The boys from the hunting public came through. They just kept on driving. They didn't even stop for gas.
No.
Dude, so something you mentioned earlier that needs to be touched on as far as safety, going back to turkey season now, is I think like deep down I am an anti-reaping guy. I think just for all intents and purposes, it's not a good idea. I mean, because you could be on private land and still have the high likelihood of being around other hunters. I mean, just you say what you want, but people are more apt to jump a fence during turkey season than any other time in the entire. Ever. In all of whatever whitetail, whatever. I know guys jump fences for whitetails too, but it's like turkey season. Guys get in and get out, and it's sketchy, man. If you're out there behind a freaking fanned up, and you've seen some of these Avian X's, dude. Like these Avian X's look freaking real.
Mm-hmm.
They look better than real turkeys. Yeah, it's wild. And I don't know. And some of the states have outlawed it, and there's been a lot of advocates, and it seems like guys are 50-50. And I'm all for a decoy, but I think crawling behind it with a live human is taking some risk that it just doesn't need to be there.
The other thing that adds to that danger, unfortunately, is red dots and TSS. Because now that, guys aren't 40-yard max anymore. They're shooting at 70. And then you add the reap and But
it's sketchy.
I've never reaped one. I do want to. I want to experience it one time.
Yeah.
So I did it one time with the bow, and it's sick and it's cool and it's fun, whatever. Will I ever do it again? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Like I been there, done that, tried it, cool, got the trophy, the cookies, the whole 9 yards. But it's just
The T-shirt.
yeah, it is what it is. But I'm in agreement with you. I don't think that it's a good idea, and I'm 100% against it. It's a dangerous thing, man. Like people. Dude, it can all go wrong pretty quick. You know what I'm saying?
It could be bad.
Especially, bringing up the point of like over the fences. What do they say in the South? If he's gobbling, he's on your property. I mean, like, I'm sorry.
After there was a T-shirt actually that was on some kind of forum. One guy said, he said after 3 gobbles, it's all God's country.
But it's true, man. Like people, we've had so many scenarios, even not even reaping, like just running a DSD Jake in front of me, and I've almost been shot. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not worth it, and especially nowadays, it's not number 7 or number 6, number 5 lead shot no more. I mean, you're talking, dude. There, and we had Aaron Satterfield on here a couple of times, but we were talking before, 20 gauge at 75 yards or 73 yards, I think, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's still an 1.5 inches of penetration, bro. 1.5 inches penetration, and that's through ballistics, Joe. So that's still going in your body. You know what I'm saying? Like that's dangerous. Could you imagine getting shot with 9 shot at 7.5 at 70 yards, 70 plus yards, and still have an 1.5 inches of penetration?
Dude,
what is that going to do at 20?
An airsoft gun. Oh yeah, no, it's bad, dude. It's bad. I'm telling you. And like I always tell guys, like, hey, look up your regulations. If it's legal, and obviously if it's legal, use your discretion. But still, I would just caution guys. Even if it's legal to have a decoy on public land, even just having a decoy, and you're set up 40 yards behind it, you're still in the kill zone. I mean, for somebody that's sneaking up a ridge and you're calling and maybe you're not even gobbling at, but there's a gobbler you're working and they think, and they pop up over the ridge. Yep. There's a red head. Boom. I mean, it's that quick and it's scary.
You know what my favorite thing to keep in my turkey? I hunted public land one time. This is years ago. First time I ever hunted public land. I came home. I went on Amazon. I ordered an all orange bandana, and I keep it right in my vest because I'll wait. Yo, I'm right here because it gets. It's a wild west out there sometimes.
I talk about this story a lot, and I had 4 or 6 Jakes in front of me, and we're filming, dude. You know what I'm saying? And they're just they're putting on a show, and I mean every time, they're just going at it, right? And perfect. Sun's rising over the hill, like you get beautiful. And here comes this dude. I seen this motion, like, and just being a hunter, you just have bearings around you. You know what I'm saying? And I just see this flap and like just this movement. And it was his seat from his ass. And he's trying to come through the woods. And these things are just, I mean, they're going nuts, bro. And then
damn.
I seen him at like 50 yards, 60 yards, dude. And I just stood right up and I just started screaming at him because the next thing you know, he's got his gun up. Like, dude, man. And it's one of those things, man. I mean, it's a scary situation, and you just, the other thing that we deal with a lot here, and we have a lot of predators. So we have bobcats, fisher cats, so on and so forth.
Oh,
dude.
Wow.
So a couple years ago, I was calling on this ridge, and I was working a bird, and he's hammering, he's coming in, and I hear walking behind me. I'm like, yo, is there a hunter behind me? I turn around. It's like 25 yards behind me, and there's this bobcat at half step, just like lurking through.
Hell no.
And I'm like, oh my God. And now you hear the stories, the guys working on pot calls, and now you just see the striker moving like this. So now they're making that sound, that motion, and then what's next? Pow! They'll jump right on top of you, dude. Like, so it's one thing to think about too, like safety from hunters, but dude, you got to look at everything else around you. I mean, it's
dude. And does that not hammer the point home that, dude, not just hunters, but everything considers a turkey a meal. Everything, dude, everything wants to kill from the time they're in a nest all the way to even when they're in their adult can fly stage. I mean, everything wants to freaking kill them.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's nuts. And us as turkey hunters, we just need to take it back and just kind of pay attention to all of our surroundings because we want everybody to come home. I mean, it's in turkey hunting is the most dangerous because you're wearing full camo, you're on the ground. You know, everybody's kind of like in that motion. It's run and gun. It's a fast paced sport. When the time comes down, we had another guy here got shot in the head. They were picking BBs out of his head.
Jesus.
With 10 gauge. This is back 10 gauge, just 3.5-inch magnums,
Good God.
Just
freaking mortar shell to his noggin.
Yeah, it's just crazy though. But we just need to be careful as turkey hunters. We all want to come home and just know your shot behind you, dude. That's why we try and work these birds in so close. And yeah, we're shooting TSS, but you want them in your lap anyways. You know, things can go wrong. So.
And that intimacy with the turkey is just when you get him so tight, man. It's just like, damn. I mean, you just want to rewind it. I mean, that is the fun of it. I mean, anybody can shoot one at 60 that's hung up in the field, but do you have the patience enough to let him walk off and work him the next day? You know what I mean? So but that there goes again to the social media point of the whole podcast is everybody has pressure. Like you feel like you have to go out and you have to post something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think, you know, and especially like us, like we're out there shooting stuff for YouTube. You know, you do all this pre-hunt, gas station BS, and walking in the woods, all the B-roll, the calling, the loading the shotgun, and then it comes down to it and you don't get it. You know, you're going to post a video or not. You know, you feel like that pressure, like, oh, we got to produce a kill on film. You know, people appreciate if you post something that maybe you busted your ass for 3 days in Kansas. You're 15 hours from home, you didn't shoot shit, and you post the whole thing.
It's reality.
It's reality. That's real deal Holyfield hunting.
It really is. Yep. And I mean, it goes back to this. Like, do you want to shoot an elk at 1,000 yards? You want to take them at 13 yards? What would you rather do?
Obviously, yeah, 100%.
Come on, it's the same with turkeys.
I want him to bugle, and I want to piss my pants. Like I want to have the full experience. Yeah.
So agree. Well, Daniel, we got one last question, man, before we cut this thing loose, dude. Why don't you tell everybody what drives you outdoors?
Dude, what drives me outdoors, when I lost my granddad 2 years ago, it really put it into perspective. I think I had this outlook anyway, but just having the memories, and that sounds so cheesy and such a bullshit answer, but it's so true, dude. It's one of the reasons I even started YouTube. I didn't even want to do it. And I was like, hey, it's like a digital photo album of I can relive whatever happened, all the goofy shit, all the memories, whether we killed or didn't kill, whatever the game was, whitetail, waterfowl, turkeys. And something that one of the guys said at NWTF, I was asking everybody their number one turkey tip. He said, he didn't say patience. He didn't say a strategy of the spring woods. He said, never give up a morning in the woods with your dad. And that really, it rang a bell, man. It was like, damn, you know, I'm getting older, you know, dad's getting older, you know, and as hunters and guys that have grown up doing this, you never do want to think about this part of it. But the fact is that you only have so many amount of mornings, amount of afternoons, amount of times you even get to go. So, you know, you never give up a trip with your friends. Never give up a trip if you have a brother or a cousin, especially your dad, an uncle, your granddad, because someday, like you said, you'll be sitting here in the shop staring at a turkey fan, and you can remember when you're sitting up against a tree with him in real life, and you can relive that. So, yeah, the memories, without getting too depressing, dude, just, you know, the memories always go. If you have it, don't hit snooze on the alarm. Go, because someday you won't be able to. So that's what drives me.
I get that, man. I live by one quote that it's my own quote is, you know, God only gives you so many sunrises. You know what I mean?
True.
It's you know, you can only see so many sunrises in your life, man, and you got to captivate on every single one of them because it's even if you don't shoot something, just watching the barn swirls come to life, watching the hawks and the birds and the peepers and all that shit. I mean, it's surreal, man, and you're only given so many of them. I mean, listen, I like to hit snooze on the button, man. I really do. Like when you're in bed and it's warm and it just you don't want to get out of bed, dude. I get it, you know, but you're only given so many of those sunrises, and it's super important, dude. And it sometimes it sucks because it takes one of those steps like losing your grandpa. You know what I'm saying, or not hunting with a hunting buddy or whatever the case may be to realize it, but. The quicker you realize it, the better off you'll be, I guess, you know?
100%, yeah.
Well, Danny, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, where they can follow along, where they can see you, where they can hear you, where they can touch you, whatever.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Well, I won't tell you where you can touch me, but I'll tell you where you can find me.
He caught it.
So on on YouTube, we're Mojo Buck Productions. If you like gun pattern series, we got all that up there. Turkey Best Dump, all the preseason stuff we like to do, and soon to be opening day. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, or a draw, we're going to post it. So you can go find us on YouTube there. IG is Mojo Buck 80, and this will be number 54 on our podcast, The Part-Time Hunter. So yeah, go check us out. Let us know you saw the show, and always here for a question. Love to help, guys. So
awesome, man. And for everyone else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.